All right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live. With Jackson Callum, I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of Vision Pros Live. I'm excited to be your host, Jackson Callum, founder and CEO of First Class Business. And I've got Jacqueline Wagner, the founder of Wagner HR, with me today. And we're talking about emotional intelligence, Daniel's book, and Daniel Goleman's book, and the 5 different levels of ultimately becoming, exploring, and continuing to discover and develop our emotional intelligence. This is one of those subjects that to me is just such a root key for when you're creating a vision or when you're building a vision, because at the end of the day, if our vision isn't ultra clear for others, then they're going to have a really hard time believing us, trusting us, and wanting to follow it. And if the vision lacks the fundamental elements of our step 2 for that process is culture, we don't have a culture where people really want and feel inclined and inspired to belong, then you're going to have a really hard time building out. So we're going to dive right into that. I want to read real quick what Jacqueline wrote when she submitted her form about what her vision was. She said, I envision workplaces full of emotionally intelligent supervisors and coworkers who support each other and the work. I strive to teach employees how to cultivate their emotional intelligence so the workplace is harmonious and fruitful. And she said, I've had many bad bosses who weren't emotionally intelligent, and it made the work a lot harder than it needed to be. And that is true. And I face this too with my team still. There are lots of opportunities for me to eat humble pie or to eat crow, and to realize as a leader, like, dang, I really missed the mark on this occasion. And one of the things Jacqueline also just talked about while we were on was the difference between sympathy and empathy. And that sign that you're headed in the right direction, which I think is so important for us to recognize, because all of us fail. All of us have struggles in this department and others. But to remember that we have the ability to step into the shoes of the other person, and we can make that choice, and we can look at it and say, you know what could I have done better to support them in the situation, or what could I have done more in order to help these individuals? So I want to just thank Jacqueline for bringing that up. Before I bring her back on stage, we've got up here, we're going to go quick today, Home Studio Mastery with Junaid Ahmed. He helps people with podcast studio setups, their audio. He does it virtually, and he builds $50,000 podcast studios as well. He's state of the art. He's awesome. He's got a top 2% show globally as well in hacks and hobbies. So I recommend checking out what he's up to. If you're looking to get into podcasting, you can't go wrong by talking to him. And of course, you can reach out to us for help too, and anybody else in this industry. The industry tends to be one of the more favorable industries. There's not a lot of dog eat dog here. That's one of my favorite things about podcasts. Then there's Danny Brissell. Dr. Danny Brissell is one of the world's best educators, and he's got a program called The Reading Habit. He teaches parents how to inspire their children to love to read, especially those who are struggling with reading. And there is no shame in getting help. In fact, I'd say the opposite. If we as parents or we as educators or leaders are not seeking help and are not getting help for others, we are creating challenges for our life. We are not removing obstacles. It takes a tribe to raise a child. In this case, I highly recommend you add Danny to your tribe and check out what he's up to. And last, and of course not least, the Water Project. I personally have never been thirsty in my life, which is why when I saw the Water Project and I let it really hit me, I was like, dang, there are millions of people without clean water. We can do at least something for this. So we do give to it each month. My hope is that you even if you don't have the financial capacity to give, that you can share it with a friend, talk to somebody about it over lunch or over dinner, tell them about it, show them what the projects look like, and see what type of impact we can make worldwide. Because my friends, we've got 8 billion people to help in this world. And my hope is that you will also join us in that cause. So let's get back to helping you right now on your vision development. Jacqueline Wagner, welcome to Vision Pros Live.
Thank you.
So really you got this. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a lag, guys, and now it sounds like I'm interrupting Jacqueline. But no, I'm grateful you're here too, and I'd love to lead right into the next question. So where did your vision come from, Jacqueline?
My vision came from 26 years of employment litigation. I'm a employment attorney, and I have been litigating hundreds and hundreds of cases in my career. And I noticed a trend that when there was a leader with poor communication skills, who was poor at managing conflict, lacked motivation, lacked empathy, couldn't regulate their own emotions, that was when employees were more likely to sue, because they were miserable at work. And if something happened to them that was inexplicable, they blamed it on, well, it must be because of discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. And really, many times it isn't because of that. It's because this person is just a really toxic presence. And so when people are miserable, they are more likely to sue, even when there isn't really discrimination, harassment, or retaliation happening in the workplace. And I just thought, gosh, if you could just tweak this one thing and train your leadership, like my team can help do, if you can just train your leadership to act with emotional intelligence, you can prevent your most of your lawsuits from happening in the first place. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Let's talk about that. So what are some of the beginning training processes that a team needs to go through, or that a leader needs to go through, in order to move from the at risk to, I guess, a functional team, as Patrick Lencioni would say?
So the first thing that folks would need to do is take an assessment, and your listeners can take an assessment without even our team coming in, is go online, pull an assessment for emotional intelligence offline. It doesn't really matter which one. There's some great ones out there, and take this kind of a test, and it's, it takes 10 minutes of your life, and see where you fall and what areas you need to work on, and then start working on those areas. You can go on YouTube and find videos about how to foster particular aspects of emotional intelligence. And then on the leadership side, things that a corporation or employer can do is make sure that emotional intelligence is woven into every aspect of the career cycle of your employees, making sure that it's in the employee handbook, that that's an expectation, and that it will be measured in a metric in the performance evaluation, making sure that you have ongoing training for employees, not just when something goes awry, but ongoing and consistent training to ensure that it's communicated to your workforce that this is an expectation. Conducting investigations when something does go awry, and not just sweeping it under the table. And having conflict resolution measures in place so that emotions can be navigated in a healthy way.
Those are amazing insights. And one of the things you just said something that's probably one of my favorite things I've heard on the show ever. And you said that it doesn't really matter which assessment we take. And I know that you're not taking away from all the assessments that are out there, as much as just helping people take assertive action. And so, DISC, Myers-Briggs, Colby, etc., StrengthsFinder, these are all assessments that have been very impactful on my life. And I don't necessarily prefer one over the other. And I know I didn't steer towards emotional intelligence. But my point with that is, the neat thing is you can now use AI. I specifically use ChatGPT. And I did this a few months ago. I asked AI to put together an assessment for me based on what it knows about me, in order to help me to understand masculine and feminine behaviors better, and see where I was at and what I understand about that. So this is kind of like a genre of emotional intelligence, if you will. And it was really neat to see how well, like, the questions it came up with were so powerful that during the second section, I literally started crying my eyes out as I was facing this test. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do I not know this? And then it was able to provide me with a whole outline of things that I can do to improve. And I took that to my coach, Coach Fletcher Ellingson. And I talked to him about it. And I talked to some other leaders on my team about it. And again, all of us have the same opportunity to do this with emotional intelligence. And I'm going to tie that back to Jacqueline Wagner, because she's now a resource that any of us can also turn to. And I think it's so important, my friends, that if we're going to lead nations, or we're going to lead thousands of people or hundreds of people, it's so important not just to try to do it alone, not try to be our own doctor, but to use these assessments and these tools to help us gain more awareness, more perspective on what can be tried. But don't risk your vision. Don't risk the safety and goodness of your heart and your team members by trying to do it alone. Go find the experts who you feel drawn to and say, you know what, I'm going to seek help, and I'm going to get it from those who are able to do so. So we're about to wrap up. I will invite all of you that are listening, if you have a vision that you want to share, click the button that says be our guest, come and be on the show. And we'll wrap up by giving Jacqueline the last word. So Jacqueline, any other tidbits of wisdom that you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
Yes, I can't emphasize enough to take an assessment. Go online, type in emotional intelligence assessment, and just see where you are. And you might be surprised, and you can start working on it immediately.
I love that. Fast action for all of us. Fast action to cultivate depth. Not talking get rich quick. We're not talking grind. We're not talking hustle. We're talking about holistic growth. And we'll see you guys all in the next episode of Vision Pros Live. Take care, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.